Hello, my name is Donielle Houston, and I am excited to talk to you about how to use Dubsado as a virtual assistant. I am the owner of AbleOffice Admin, and I help virtual assistants, coaches, and other service-based business owners streamline and automate their processes with Dubsado. Now, I started out in July 2018 as a solo virtual assistant, and later grew to an agency, having about 10 subcontractors, other VAs, working with me and my clients. So I am going to be able to show you a few workflows that can be used, whether you're a solo VA or if you're at the point when you're growing your team. So I'm also a certified Dubsado specialist. So let's get right into this. So the first thing I really want to go over is my new inquiry process, or a client's or prospect's first contact with me. So I direct all of my traffic, I guess you can say, to the Contact Us page on my website. So whether I'm talking to someone through email, like they reached out to me directly because they have my email through whatever method, or Facebook or Instagram or anything like that, I'll direct them to my Contact Us page, my contact page on my website. And what you see here is a Dubsado scheduler with a form connected. So this is the first point of contact. So I have my availability here and a form. So right now I have this set up for Dubsado services because that's my focus now, is setting up the Dubsado for other businesses. But before, I had a lead capture form that was catered to in particular real estate clients, because I was a real estate VA in particular. So I'm going to show you an example of that form right here. So this is a lead capture form, and I would have this connected to the scheduler instead of the one I have there now. But this form, you see all the beautiful graphics going on. So shout out to Alice Coleman over at Forms and Flows, because I purchased her templates, and that's how I was able to do this form here. But even if you have a form without any CSS, these are the kind of questions I would ask. So I just get general information about the client, and then some information about their business. And some of these are qualifying questions, like what was your business revenue last year, and what is your projected revenue this year. And then I want to know like what particular tasks they need the most help with. So I have some common like real estate VA task here. And then I ask them to pick their ideal start date. So I have this linked to the project start date in Dubsado, but I have a step in my workflow where I change it, I update it. So I'm not letting them kind of dictate when I start, but just trying to find out when they would like to start. And then I have a how did you hear about us? And I'll show you this in the back end as well. And if they were referred, I want to know who referred them and additional comments, right? And then they can submit the form. So basically what this does is it lets a person book a discovery call while also creating a project in Dubsado. So let me show you the back end of that. Do it from here. So this is that same lead capture form. This is what the fields look like. And I have this triggering the workflow to start right here in the form settings. So I have the default workflow connected. So if you have, and I have it this way because when I was operating solely as a real estate virtual assistant, it was mostly monthly retainer packages. So I didn't need different workflows. I really just needed one workflow. And when they receive the proposal, it'll let them choose their plan, like how many hours they want to book per month. But if you have vastly different services, like maybe you're a virtual assistant and you do monthly retainer packages, but you also do like social media management and something else, instead of setting the workflow here in the back end of the form, in that case, I would use a form workflow element and have a service listed and have each service, excuse me, connect to a workflow that way. But for this method and the way that I was doing business at the time, just having monthly retainer plans, this form only needed to link to one workflow. Okay. So another thing I want to show you is my project statuses, because this is important to kind of see before I get into showing you the workflows. So in the project statuses, I have a lot of them because I have different services now. But so for the main part, when a new lead comes in, the status will be new inquiry. If they have booked an appointment, or once they complete an appointment, complete the discovery call, is when the status will change to consultation completed. Now for another service and another workflow, I have these two statuses, but I don't need them for the one that we're talking about right now. And then I have status for things like they need a proposal, the proposal has been sent, the contract signed, the invoice paid. I, at one point, was taking virtual assistant applications through Dubsado. I stopped doing that. I started using Google Forms instead. But at the time, I had a lead for a VA applicant status. If I have to reject the application, and then have 3 different decline statuses. So one is if I've talked to a client on a discovery call and I don't think we're a good fit, I'll change their status to decline, not a fit. If I don't hear from them at all, like and it's been weeks, then it's decline, no response. And then if they get back to me for whatever reason they don't think we'll be a good fit, or they're not okay with the pricing, or whatever the reason may be, if they said, oh no, I've changed my mind or something like that, then I'll put decline by client. All right, so just to show you a little bit of that. So now I'm going to make my picture a little smaller here, and I want to get in the workflow. So after a client has been on my contact page, they've selected an appointment, they filled out my form. So this is an example of if you have different services and you want to trigger different workflows. I have different services here that trigger different workflows. But they fill the form out. Then I have another Dubsado form down here for general messages too. But they'll fill the form out, and then let's go over into my account so I can show you a real actual project behind the scenes. Here we go. Okay, so I'll have that one open, and then I'll show you over here the workflow. So we're going to go back and forth of me walking you through the workflow and showing you what it looks like, how it looks on the back end. All right, so the first thing when a new lead comes in, so after they've booked that discovery call and filled out the form that's attached, a tag gets added called website lead. And then the project status is changed, and I believe it's changed to new inquiry. Oh, consultation schedule. Okay, so the consultation is scheduled, so I changed that project status. And then, so this step here says send the form virtual assistant services proposal. So I have an approval step because I don't want the email to send yet to the client, but I want it to be in their project folder. And I have this way because I started the appointment outside of the workflow. So if I was to send an appointment scheduler within this workflow, then I can trigger this proposal like, a day after appointment or something like that. But because the scheduler, the event is happening before this workflow starts, I can't use that trigger. So my workaround for that is to have the proposal send here one day after this action is complete, but with the approval step. So it will not send until I approve it. So after I have the discovery call with the client, then I can go in and approve the step for them to get the proposal. And that gives me a chance to edit the proposal and to customize it. So let me show you how that looks. So this is a test project. And here's the first step of that workflow we were just talking about. So the virtual assistant proposal, services proposal. So let me show you the back end of this form. All right, so again, this beautiful form I was able to create using Alice Coleman's Forms and Flows templates. So there's some code in there, a lot of code. But here's an example. So some of the text I swapped out. because I got to keep some things private. But but just in the proposal, there's like I use some smart fields for the client's first name, have a welcome message, have a learn more button that just connects to my about page on my website, and then I'll give an overview of the project, when the start date is, and if there's like contract terms, I might want to first mention it here, like contracts are such and such amount of months or something like that. And then I'll feature one package here, the one that people usually pick the most. And then I'll have the other packages here. So these are retainer packages. So they're all the same, pretty much the same exact service, but with different hours. So maybe one might be 10 hours a month, 20 hours a month, 30, 40, so forth and so on. And they can select the package. And then I have some next steps here. And then I collect the information I want to collect, which I want to know. Basically, the things that I need to populate on the contract, I collect here on the proposal. So some of this will be filled in anyway because I have it linked. So like for first name, it is mapped to the client first name. So when they filled out the form, it's already going to be pre-populated there when they book the call with me on my website. And I want to know their legal business name because that's going to be on the contract, the address, and just a question of how long they plan to use the service. Then I have some frequently asked questions here, and they can submit the form. So on the back end of this, I have it connected to a contract. And then, so the contract is already in the project, so you're not going to see it there. And then I have an invoice connected, and then the discount codes they can use if they have one. And then I have it set to expire 14 days after it's applied to the project, right? Okay. All right, so let me show you how this looks here. Okay, there it is. So this is how it would look when the client opens it. So have their name, you can pick a plan, has some testimonials there, and it'll pre-populate with information that we already have on file. So, and this is, like I said, from the lead capture form. If we've collected it and it's mapped, which it is, most of these shirt boxes, these boxes here, then it will populate so the client doesn't have to keep, enter the same information over and over again. So once they fill this out, since I have the contract and the invoice connected, they can go ahead, complete it, go to the bottom and do submit and next. You can't see it because I'm signed into the account, but it'll be submit and next. And then the contract will open up. And then we can show you that for now. All right, so the main, one of just the important things in the contract is outlining the services. So when they select something, it will populate here. So I don't have anything selected there, but when they select the service, it'll populate under services because I have a smart field there. The amount per month will populate. And then these are just some terms that you want to have with some filler text, but some terms that you want to have on your virtual assistant agreement. All right, so if you don't know like what to put on your virtual assistant contract, I want to show you the template library really quickly. So if we go over to templates and forms, you can click right here for template library. And there are some contract examples. And there's one for virtual assistant. And you can literally just copy this to your account and then swap out like the information, like the logo for your logo. And you can just edit this to your liking. But there is one already here if you don't have one. All right, so back to the workflow. All right, so after that is sent, I have the project status being changed to proposal sent. And then I have 3 follow-up emails. So these are emails for if the proposal isn't completed. So if the proposal is not completed after 3 days, there is an email that will go out that says, the first one is just saying like, hey, I sent you a proposal during this time. And maybe if you need a little more help making this decision, here's a testimonial from one of my previous clients. These, I can show you the first one. And I have a testimonial and then some quotes, right? But what's most important here is the form settings. So 3 days after the form is not completed, the email settings. And that means this email will send if the form is not completed in 3 days. If the form is not completed in 6 days, another reminder email will come up. And then lastly, if it's not completed in 2 weeks. If it's completed, these will gray out. So the workflow will know not to send these emails. I do like to put approval steps on them because maybe they didn't complete the proposal, but they may have sent me an email saying like, hey, I can get to this next week. So I don't want that email to still send. So I have an approval step. So when it gets there, I look to see if they emailed me. If I haven't heard from them, then I approve it. So it sends the email. Okay. So once they fill out the proposal, the project status will change to contract signed. And then once they pay the invoice, the project status I meant to say once they fill out the proposal and sign the contract, it'll change the status to contract signed. And then once they pay the invoice, the status will change to invoice paid. And then they'll immediately receive a receipt. Okay. So for a receipt, it's just, I can show you this one. So this is an email template I got from Kate Potter. And she has some canned email templates for Dubsado. If you want to go check her out, you can purchase, and they're really good templates. But this is one which is a receipt. But if you want to do one of your own, you're pretty much just linking the invoice, because once the invoice is paid, it can act as a receipt because you can't really send like an exact receipt from Dubsado. But the client will get an email confirmation, saying thanks for the payment. Now, after the payment, I consider them a client. So they've signed the contract, they've paid the invoice, they're officially booked. So at that point is when I have for the portal to activate. Once the portal is activated, I have this workflow trigger another one because I didn't want to have a very, very, very long workflow. So I divided this into about 3 different workflows. So it triggers another. While at the same time, the last step says to change the project status if the proposal is not complete in 14 days. So if it's not complete at all, then I have the status change to the client, no response. So I have it at the end because I didn't want this step above not to trigger because it's waiting on something before it. So this works at the end. So if I do get to this part and they never complete the proposal and they've gotten these 3 emails and they still haven't completed it, then it'll change the status to decline, to no response. All right, so now we are moving on to part 2 of this workflow, which is onboarding. So I get a reminder to countersign the contract for the client because that is a part that I would forget if I did not have a to-do there. And then I have another reminder to update the project start and end dates. So this is why I need this. So on the lead capture form, I asked them what is their ideal start date. So at this point, I've already had the call with them, so I kind of know when they're going to really start. So that's when I would go into their project and I would go into the project and update the start and end dates. So this is a monthly retainer. So for example, if my contracts are for 6 months, I'll pick the date that I want to start with them. So usually, of course, I would prefer the first of the month, and the end date I'll put like the exact 6-month out date, and I'll put that there so that it populates on the contract because I'm using smart fields on the contract for that. So let me show you that because I didn't go into the smart fields on the contract. yeah, so in the contract, like I said, there's smart field for the services that'll populate there. And there is usually I probably didn't include it here, but somewhere in the term, I may want to reference like the end date of the contract. So that's why I like to have both. Now, some people don't like having a long date like that in Dubsado because it'll take up your calendar. So what you can do instead is just have both dates set for your start date, which is what I have here. But either way, I am reminded to come in here and change this start date because I definitely need the start date to be accurate on the contract. All right. So next is after I've done that, the client will get an email with my W-9. So I have uploaded my W-9 as a form under questionnaires in Dubsado, and I send it automatically when I get a new client. Like once they've signed up, and I know the first invoice is above the $600 threshold for taxes, so I send them a W-9 automatically. And the place you can do that is over here in Forms. There it is, W-9. So you just hit the little upload icon, and then you can upload the PDF there, and you can send it just like you would any other questionnaire in Dubsado. Okay. So next, I have a to-do that says to add ClickUp and Google Drive links to their portal. So I use ClickUp for project management, and then I use Google Drive for like sharing folders and sharing files. So what I would do is I would create that project in ClickUp, create the folder in Google Drive, and then I go over to the client's project in Dubsado, and I go to Forms, and then Add New Form. So it's called One Time. I'll see it here at the bottom. There it is. So scroll to the bottom, and you can create a one-time link, and then I'll call it like your ClickUp folder or something like that, and then I'll paste the direct link to their folder so that if they're signed into their portal, their Dubsado portal, they can just access it that way. Okay. And next, I have a reminder to send a ClickUp guest invite. So I invite them to their folder. So a lot of what I have over here is automated because I use Zapier to kind of like do some of these things for me. Not this part, I have to do this manually, but like adding a ClickUp folder in a Google Drive, creating a Google Drive folder in a ClickUp project, that's a task that could be automated with Zapier. And then I have a reminder to set the portal password. So I would just go over here and go to password and type a password in and save it. I'm not going to do that for this test project. And then to send the welcome packet. So I'm only applying this to the portal because in their onboarding email, which is coming up very soon, I'm going to give them access to their portal and say, please be sure to read the welcome packet. And I don't want to send a whole bunch of emails with different like forms to fill out. So I just send it all to the portal, and then they can sign in and access it. So then this is where we trigger the next workflow. So let's go to that one. All right, so I have a new client questionnaire that I send. And you know what? Let me show you examples of both. So the welcome packet and the questionnaire. So here is the welcome packet. Edited with some filler text in there. But some people make a PDF welcome packet and they upload it. I used to do that, but I really prefer to use the Dubsado forms, the questionnaires for this. So I usually start off with a letter, like a welcome letter to the client, and more about the company, our mission and vision and core values. And here's some different headlines, like what they can expect working with us. I outline like my hours, if I charge any surcharges for rush jobs, holidays that I will not be working on any projects, instructions on if they want to book a meeting, which links to a Dubsado calendar, and then just some guarantees about confidentiality and things, and any referral reward program I may have, additional services that we offer, and then kind of letting them know the technology we're going to be using. So Google Drive, using LastPass for passwords, using ClickUp for project management. And then I include some tutorials so they can kind of get the rundown on how to use some of these tools. We do have an onboarding meeting, which I show them like through a video conference, but this is somewhere they can kind of look on their own and see how to use it. And then some information on how to contact me. Okay. And that's the new client questionnaire. Let's see that. So the back end. So again, if you love these forms, form design, this is Alice Coleman's Forms and Flows. I do form design for my clients. Alice graciously gives us a commercial license to be able to create some amazing proposals and forms using some of her code. So that's something that I'm grateful to be able to do. And so this form, I want to just collect some additional information, like if they have an alternate contact, what's their preferred method of communication, what operating system they use, because that matters, because sometimes you run into issues because you're not using the same. I want to be prepared for that. And then more information about their business. A lot of times I will have some of this information in my research before the discovery call, but sometimes you can't find a person's social media profiles and they can put that information there. And okay, so that's that. All right, so that form is getting sent to the portal only, right? Because I'm about to introduce the the client portal to the client on the onboarding email. Okay, so this next one is just a reminder for me to edit the next workflow step, edit that email, and to add a ClickUp unique email address. So I do that because ClickUp can be difficult for newbies to use. So I link an email where they can send tasks to an email and it comes into my ClickUp. It comes into their folder. So that's what I do to make it kind of easier for clients who are just starting out, so they don't have to know how to use ClickUp 100%. They can just send an email to this email address and get it. So that's just a reminder for me to go in and add that particular unique email address. So in the next email, I'll show you an example. I can't show that exact one, but I will show you, I can go over what this one says. So in this email, I give them a link to their client portal. And the form that is connected is the client portal guide. So I have the client portal guide, and the email just says, welcome, we're officially in business. Here's your client portal. This is what you can do in your client portal. Once you log in, please look at the welcome packet and please complete the new client questionnaire. So that's what it says pretty much. And then I have a reminder to create a recurring invoice for this client because my virtual assistant services are monthly retainer plans. So even though they've paid the first initial invoice when they signed up, you can't trigger a workflow to create a recurring invoice. So then I would go in and create a recurring invoice. So the way that you do that is you go over to Invoices, and I'll just give you a brief overview because Dubsado explains it in their support documents. And I would just go over here and add a recurring invoice and fill all of this out, right? So after I've done that, I'll check it off. And then once they fill out the new client questionnaire, it'll change the status to forms completed. So that's how I know who's completed their questionnaire. So I have a reminder here that is, okay, so for first week prep, I just send them an email saying, we're preparing for your first week, and I send them a form. Do I send a form in that email? Nope, just the email preparing them for their first week of work, and some things that they need to have in place as we prepare for our onboarding meeting and things like that. I forgot to mention, in the email with the client portal guide, I share a link to my scheduler for them to book a onboarding meeting. So they've booked that at that point. Okay. And then after we've been working together for about a week, I send them a PDF I made with different ideas of things they can have their virtual assistant. At the time, it was an agency, so whoever was assigned to them, they can have them some tasks they can have them work on. So let me show you. There it is. So it's just a PDF. So I made the PDF in Canva. So something you can do very quickly in Canva, saying some things that they can have you work on. And the client portal guide I want to show you, because I sent this in the onboarding email. And this is a template that comes with, you can get this from Dubsado's template library, but I added some code. But as far as the words, what it says and how it's sectioned, that's in Dubsado's template library. But I used Alice Coleman's forms and flows CSS code to do all of this stuff here. And then you just take screenshots of what your actual client portal page looks. So on my website, I have a menu item called Client Portal. So I just embedded the Client Portal here, and you can grab that link in Dubsado, and they can sign in here. So that way I don't have to always send a person the link to their, via email, a link to the Client Portal, a link to the Client Portal. They can just know, go on the website, and you can sign into the Client Portal there, right? So I just took screenshots of how it looks on when they log in, so it looks familiar to them in the guide. So a screenshot of my login page. Once they sign in, they can see what it looks like as I'm referring to different sections. So Dubsado's template gives you photos here. I just replaced their photos with my photos. So forth and so on. Okay, so these, I don't have time to go into these workflows, but I have quite a few other workflows being triggered here. One is feedback, so that's 30 days after we've been working together, I have a workflow to ask for feedback. And then 30 days after they've started, a workflow to schedule a monthly meeting. So I'm not going to go into that. But what I will get into is client offboarding really quickly. And I'm going to go through this quickly because I don't have a lot of time. But so for offboarding, so once your project is complete, I'll just kind of briefly go through some of the steps that we do to offboard. So I say there's a lot of to-dos. So most of them is a reminder to archive their Google Drive folder, or to move it from active clients to past clients in my Google Drive, and a reminder to cancel recurring invoices. So this is triggered manually. So I have manually applied this workflow when it's over. So when a contract has ended, I manually apply this workflow. So a reminder to cancel recurring invoices, a reminder to delete all the logins and passwords that they share with me in LastPass, and then a reminder to edit the goodbye packet. And I will show you the goodbye packet, and to edit the email. So in the goodbye packet, I just give them a letter just saying, thanking them for working with me, working with us. And then I tell them what happens next. So I tell them I deliver whatever files I have, anything we've ever created for them. We already have it because we have that shared Google Drive. So I just remind them to go in and download all of that content. and letting them know it'll be deleted after 30 days. Any links to like tutorials, SOPs, mostly they'll be like Loom videos I'll share and give them 30 days to download. And then I let them know that we're going to delete all the passwords and logins they share with us. But I remind them that they need to also revoke access on their end. So then these are suggestions. So letting them know to remove our access from any Google folders they've shared with us, and to remove our access from those passwords and LastPass. And then I give them instructions how to do this directly from LastPass site. So just telling them how to do it and then how they can stay connected with us. Okay, so more reminders, like removing them from active clients group in my email marketing platform and putting them in past clients. Delete, so 30 days, 32 days, but 32 is after the project has ended. Deleting the Loom videos and just clearing up some space and things like that. And then I do send another feedback form asking like how we did, and a reminder to send a gift or a handwritten note. And then if there's an actual gift, I have a little gift notification email that just says, oh, you have a goodbye gift. Check your email and your junk folder from Loop and Tide, because that's who I like to use for sending client gifts, just to make sure they get that. If they don't complete the feedback form, then I send it again with an email saying, just asking for them to complete it again, a customized email for that. And after we get it back, I check it. If the feedback is positive, which it always has been, but if it's positive, then I will approve this next email, which asks for a referral. And then 30 days later is when we'll deactivate the portal. And then a reminder to share any content that I'm able to share, like on social media platforms. And then I'll change the project status after this form is complete to feedback received, and then archive the project. So the steps that I have at the end, I have them at the end because if they were earlier up, they might prevent the workflow from continuing on. And because the triggers are based on other forms being completed, they won't mess up the workflow. So it's okay to have them kind of at the bottom of the workflow, even though it's not necessarily in chronological order. When you get down here, it still flows properly. All right, so let me get back to my presentation. So guys, it really has been a pleasure. I'm trying to give you a lot of content in a little bit of time. So if you have questions, feel free to reach out to me. I can be reached, or we can connect on Instagram at AbleOffice_admin. And look, if you are interested in trying Dubsado, you can try it for free. They have a free trial without a time limit. And if you do decide to sign up, which you probably will, if you decide to sign up, you can use my code to get 30% off your first month or year. I do have a freebie of the workflows that I showed you. If you're interested, visit my website. You can get an outline of those exact workflows so that you can set up your account to something similar. So if you want that, you can visit my website, AbleOfficeAdmin.com. It's truly been a pleasure. Thank you so much for taking this time to watch this video, and I hope it was helpful to you. Bye-bye.